you is really easy. Can I get you to say and spell your first and last name?
Roswitha Berry. Roswitha. That's the first name. Last name Barry.
Where do you call home right now?
Danville, California, near San Francisco.
So, but as a child, where did you call home?
Berlin.
And you were telling us a story earlier about you received one of the packages from the candy bombers. Tell me, first off, what was it like prior towards the United States being a part of what was happening in Berlin that you remember? What was it like there?
What was like?
Yeah.
Ruins were our playground. We had, unlike our parents that knew what it was like, but we had the ruins that were our playground. We didn't know any different. We had fun as children to play in the ruins. We were playing cowboys and Indians. Yes, and out of the leaves and bushes, especially the willows, because you can bend them so nicely, we made headgear and we wove the leaves in to make it look like we were Indian chiefs, and we would build fortresses in the ruins. So that's what I grew up in. We made toys out of just boxes, and I had a doll that went to the hospital in October. My mother told us it's going to the hospital, and at Christmas time she had knitted new clothes and sewed up the arms and the legs and put them back under the Christmas tree as new, and we were thrilled to have it.
What was that moment like when you received, or when you started to see the American planes flying over?
It was scary. We were afraid. We were really afraid because they were flying low. And when you live near an airport and you see the planes coming overhead in for a landing, it's a little bit scary. And especially when you see them come that often. It was every 2.5 minutes a plane would take off and land. So it was scary. But we quickly learned that what they did for us, the word spread around very fast. And once he had the idea with the chocolate to drop it from the air, they sent boxes of chocolates to the schools, and they divided the Hershey bars and giving it out to the children. So we received them that way. And care packages, like I was saying, in the 5-pound tins. But then for holidays or special occasions, we would receive a fancy care package, but they were always pretty much the same size. And there was peanut butter in, and candy bars and Spam.
What was it like to receive something like that?
Oh, it was luxury. It was really luxury for us because we didn't have much, and we went begging to the countryside. We took the train because I grew up in the center of Berlin, at the border of the British and American sector, and we got on the train and went over to Potsdam, which was in the Russian-occupied zone. And in those days, you still could go across the borders. The wall wasn't up yet. And we knocked on the doors of the occupied houses by the Russians and asked them if we could pick the fruit off the ground that fell. And some of them chased us away, and others would say, yeah, go ahead and pick it up. So we picked up the rotten fruit and we took it home and we ate that. But it was food. It was fruit. It was fresh. We're spoiled these days.
What did you think about the candy bomber exhibit that was over here?
Oh, beautiful! It's beautiful. I have a parachute at home. I framed it. Gail sent it to me and signed it a couple of years ago. I said I would love to have one of the parachutes and he did. So if you come to the hotel, you can see we have are you going to be there?
I don't know if I'll be there or not.
We have I've taken pictures of the 70th anniversary. I took a group to Berlin, and they did fantastic, and we took a lot of photos, and I made 7 collages with the pictures.
Did you lose any family during World War II?
During the World War II? No, after the war I did. I don't know, from my father's side, my father's side, the father's side, we have family, but from the mother's side, we have nobody. So from my grandmother's side, there's nobody. We don't know what happened to them. And my father's side, we had a couple of family members. But my mother traded in her jewelry, she traded in her fur coats for a loaf of bread and some butter.
How important to history, to like preserving your story, preserving what they've done, the history, how important is that to you?
It is in a way important, and from the other side I have mixed feelings, because I came to the United States 50 years ago, and in those days I was afraid to talk about the war and my upbringing, and because every time I would mention it, somebody would ask me, where you're from, Berlin, and say, oh, you're a war bride. Oh no, I'm not, but I grew up in the war. And then they would say, oh, we had such horrible times. We went through the Depression, and we had nothing. And then I would shut up, and I would think to myself, I know you suffered a lot, but you can't compare it, what we went through. You know, when you look at the pictures from World War II, or even when you look at the photos from the Middle East now, in Syria and Afghanistan, you see the bombed out buildings. We lived in that. Those would be condemned in the United States. You couldn't even go near it, and we lived in it. We had no walls. They were bombed out. We had a blanket on the outside to keep the cold, to shelter a little bit. And so, to go back to your question, I have mixed feelings, because some people understand, and others, they have absolutely no concept. Or it's like, I call it the me generation. They go to Starbucks to get a cup of coffee. They don't even brew it themselves. And it's okay, every generation has its plus and minuses. But in the end, they will always come through, no matter what happens. Like I said, my father talked just like they talk now, and look at me now. And at that time, I was little, and he would say, I don't know what will ever become of you, in your generation. And here we are, 50 years later, same thing. Hasn't changed any. And I think in the end, the young people will pull through. To know about it, yes, I think it is important in a way. But from the other side, I like to shelter the young people for heartaches and tragedy. And I feel if they hear about it, they have no concept, they cannot relate to anything. And they will read about it in the history book when they're ready, but to go, and I'm not one to go and advertise and talk much about it, because I feel everybody has suffered a lot in their life in one way or another, and it's your perception. And so I am just happy to have made a good life through hard work, but also I am in a land of opportunities, and I took advantage of the opportunities that everybody has. If you want to, you can do something with your life here. And I was one of the lucky ones that understood that.
I want to go back and do one follow-up question. So when you received one of the candy packages from one of the candy bombers, as they're called, describe to me what you're seeing. You're seeing a plane fly overhead. What's happening?
Well, you see the planes coming, and they're bringing food and supplies. And but you really, as a child, see, I'm so much younger than the other lady that spoke. There's I think 10 or 12 years difference. So I have a totally different perception of the time than she had. And just like the lady I spoke about with the underwear, she was 16 years old at the time of the airlift. She remembered the Kristallnacht, when the windows were smashed and the Jews were collected. She remembered all that. See, that's all before my time. Or I was born during that time, I was not conscious of it. And so for me, it was fun. We actually had fun. That sounds awful, but there wasn't anything else. We didn't know any different. That's the only thing we knew. I didn't get to see a banana until 1951, or hold an orange in my hand.
What year were you born?
42.
Well, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for taking an interest.
I don't. So okay, I think we're good. Your faith never came into question with what was happening in Berlin, did it?
No, wait a minute.
Did it?
Well, faith as far as what?
Like your religion?
My religion, yes. In Germany in those days, it was the religion that was prominent mostly is Catholic and Protestant. The northerners are more Protestant, the southerners are more Catholic. And some of the businesses in Germany in those days, in those early days, they would have signs on the windows, Catholics only to apply for positions. Protestants were not accepted. But that's what we had with discrimination. But it was not, we didn't look evil at it. We just accepted it, that's how it was. This is a Catholic company, this is a Protestant company, and we just didn't go and apply where the Protestant would accept Catholics, but the Catholics would not accept Protestants. But that was only after the, well, I don't know if it was before the war already, but it was until the early 60s, then it changed.
The 60s?
Yeah, 61, 62, that still was happening.
Well, thank you so much. Do me one more favor. How do I pronounce your first name?
Roswitha.
Roswitha?
Yeah, the R was,
Os?
no, Ros.
Ros?
No, it's a sharp S, Roswitha.
Roswitha, okay.
Yeah, Vita like life, Vita.
Okay, that's easy.
So it's easy to see the W is a V sound, and the TH is silent. It's just a T sound.